No, I mean, there's always times. You're never going to have another trajectory all the time. There's going to be down times. I remember early on in our first season, yeah, although albeit it ended well as captain and lifting a trophy, but there was one home game against Bradford where I've given a short pass back and we've lost the game. I think it was Owen Morrison that ended up scoring the goal as well. So we lost the game, and I took a hell of a lot of stick on. It wasn't social media at that time. I think it was like internet forums or something like that. Got booed when I touched the ball and things like that. So that was tough. And we're all human. And then the other side of it, I think, is probably at the tail end of my time on the coaching staff at Wednesday. I don't know. I seem to be scapegoated for some reason, and
Hello and welcome to the first episode of All Wednesday. It's me, Joe Cran from the Sheffield Star, and in line with the first episode, we thought we'd get a very special guest in. Sheffield Wednesday royalty, Lee Bullen. Lee, thank you very, very much for coming. It's a pleasure to have you on. How are you doing?
I'm very good, Joe. Thank you very much for the invite, especially being the very first one. Always very
Yeah,
nice.
yeah, they can never take that away from you. First
Exactly.
is always first. But yeah, Lee, first and foremost, I just want to make. I feel like I mention this anytime I do anything with you. That the fact that you know who I am is mental to me when I think back to me being a 15-year-old kid watching you on the pitch. Do you get that a lot when you're around Sheffield? Do you have a lot of people? Because obviously you've been around the city for a long time now, so you've
Yeah, yeah.
literally watched like kids grow up into adults.
No, absolutely. Even last night, I was up at Hallam watching their league game. I was at the FA Cup game on Sunday, and I was up at their game last night watching Hallam FC. And you still get people coming up to me saying, "Oh, I remember watching you at Cardiff. I was 10 years old," everything like that. So, yeah, it's strange. Really nice. Because I said Sheffield is regarded as virtually my home now. Scotland always will be, but Sheffield is definitely second home now down here, and that's due to the people of Sheffield that have made me feel very, very welcome.
I was going to ask about that because you find a lot of people, don't you, who come to Sheffield and end up sort of sticking around. Like even when they stop playing, it's not just a football thing. Why
Exactly.
do you
I
think
mean,
that is?
I don't know. I wish I had a pound for every student that had come to Sheffield and ended up staying after being in, because it does have that. It's not necessarily just football players. It's everybody. The amount of people, as I say, I've bumped into. I hear an accent. It says, "Oh, where are you from? What are you doing in Sheffield?" Oh, I came to study. I came to university, and I've never left. So it's you know what, Yorkshire people are tight, like us Scottish, but they are very, very welcoming as well.
Yeah, I suppose there's a lot that's comparative, isn't there, with
Yeah.
the Scots and the Yorkshire. The further
You know
north, we're
what,
basically on your side anyway.
mate, Sheffield's got 6, 7 hills, is it? I mean, Edinburgh's very, very similar, built on 6, 7 hills,
Yeah,
so there is a lot of similarities. The accent's slightly different. We've both got weird words that we come out with now and again that nobody understands, but I think we like a beer and we are very tight, so we'll get on well together.
yeah. No, it's a match made in heaven, isn't it? Just on the accent, did you have? I mean, you've got a very nice accent. Like it's not like super strong, is it? Like when you're
Mate, you've
go on.
travelled, okay? So you got to fully understand. Once you've travelled and having lived in Australia, Hong Kong, and Greece for so many years, I do admit that I have realised that, especially the Scottish accent, you have to slow down. There's been times where I've in Hong Kong with local Chinese lads or English lads or foreign lads there, and maybe my brother's phoned me on a mobile phone and I start speaking, and you don't realise it, you just shoot into stupid Scottish accent, and they just really don't think, you think they're speaking a foreign language. But yeah, Edinburgh's probably slightly easier to understand than the Glaswegian accent, but I do admit I have slowed the accent down a hell of a lot since coming down the road or since going on my travels.
Yeah, no, I can definitely relate to that. My wife, when I come back to Sheffield for like extended periods of time, and then I start speaking to her, and she's like, "Why are you using those words? I don't know what they mean." But
But I
no,
mean,
you,
if
you
you were
do
to
don't
walk
you? You
around
tone it
South
down.
Africa going, you're right," to everybody you walk into, they'll be looking at like some aliens landed in Cape Town or something like that, mate. So
Yeah,
you've got to understand, if I walk around saying Ken and I and everything like that, nobody's got a clue who Ken is, you know?
yeah. It flips as well. I don't know if you found the same thing when you went places. Did you start picking up on their linguistics and their words and stuff? Because I do when I go to South Africa. There's certain
Mm-hmm.
words that I start to use that
Yeah.
then I come back. home, and my mates here go,
Yeah.
what were you talking like that for?
I'll put it this way: if I was to go up the road and go out with a few of my mates and start calling them Duck, then I think I would be in problems up in Scotland, mate. So I've got to be careful.
When you were sort of interim manager and you had the spells there with lads who were sort of coming into England for maybe their first season, what was that like? Did you have to really tone it back then?
Nah, they had Barry Bannon to deal with. They never had anything to do. He was the worst. You got to get Callum Patterson and Barry Bannon and people like that. And then when I was playing, there was John Paul McGovern and Stevie McLean. So listen, I was very clear and concise compared to some of these guys' accent.
No, that's fair. I think I've got used to Baz's accent now. I'm about there with
Yeah,
listening to him.
yeah.
You, I suppose one thing I want to ask you, your good times at Wednesday have been sort of highly documented. You've spoken a lot about, winning promotion, the great times you had at Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
But on the flip side of it, do you have any regrets about sort of your time at the club, both as as a player and sort of the way you moved into the technical team side of things as well?
No, I mean, there's always times. You're never going to have an upward trajectory all the time. There's going to be down times. I remember early on in my first season there, although albeit it ended well as captain and lifting a trophy, but there was one home game against Bradford where I've given a short pass back and we've lost the game. I think it was Owen Morrison that ended up scoring the goal as well. So we lost the game, and I took a hell of a lot of stick on. It wasn't social media at that time. I think it was like internet forums or something like that. Got booed when I touched the ball and things like that. So that was tough. And we're all human. And then the other side of it, I think, is probably at the tail end of my time on the coaching staff at Wednesday. I don't know. I seem to be scapegoated for some reason, and I obviously came off of Twitter at that time. I just felt that. For whatever reason, some people had turned against me. Of course, there's the odd grey cloud there, but luckily enough, the positives far outweigh the negatives from my own personal point of view. And even for those like social media situations from a small minority, it didn't necessarily. Yeah, of course, it hurt me a little bit, so I came off social media. But it's girlfriends, it's mums, it's dads, it's brothers that read that on social media. That's the big thing, and that's the thing that disappoints me nowadays. Or I don't know. I suppose every club has a scapegoat or two in the team that seems to take the brunt of any negativity or any poor result that goes against them. And having lived that little bit of it nearer the end of my career, the social media, that's part and parcel of life now, and these players can probably deal with it. But it's as I say, it's their partners or their kids or their mum or dad that's reading that kind of stuff, which can be really, really tough. So that's probably the only negative side of it, mate. I'm sure you've had a bit of stick online as well, mate. So you know exactly where it comes from.
They love us. We never do anything wrong as journalists. We absolutely get a free ride. It's it's lovely.
It's me that's been sending all that social media against you, mate. So don't worry.
All your burner accounts. Just on the sort of the way it ended. We've spoken about it before, but with the way that it sort of came to a head, I suppose, at Wednesday, you got to a sort of a fork in the road, didn't you? Where you felt like I now have to leave if I'm going to progress myself as a manager.
Yeah. I think the more and more I got involved in the coaching side of it with the academy initially, and then obviously Stuart Gray giving me the opportunity to step up to the first team and then remaining there for about 8 years under various managers, it really built my appetite in relation to being my own man, having an opportunity to be a manager eventually. I think we've discussed it before, as I didn't want to turn 70-year-old, look back on my career and think, you know what, I wish I'd taken the chance. And that's what led to taking the opportunity up at Ayr United. So, yeah, you do the interim role 3 times. First time wasn't ready. Second time I really enjoyed it. Third time I thought I was ready. But unfortunately that wasn't to be. And the chairman decided to go down a different route. And at that point, I sort of half in my mind, when I stepped back to the academy, during Gary Monk's reign, I had it half in my mind to look for an opportunity. I wasn't going to force it. It had to be the right type of thing. Had to be either an opportunity of going to a club that you can possibly get success, or an opportunity of going to a club where it was a real rebuild job. And that's what Ayr United was for me. And I learned so much in that period. And albeit I'm no longer there, but I have no regrets of doing it. The experience I got from that 2-year stint there, on top of the I'm going to say almost 10, 12 years of coaching experience, again, first at Falkirk and then coming back to Wednesday. It's been second to none for me, and I've learned a heck of a lot from there. So I'm hoping if I get another opportunity, I can take that experience forward and continue to improve myself.
Yeah, I noticed there was a few Wednesday fans came down, should I say, sorry, to Ayr when you were there. How was that for you? You know, you as a player to have meant so much to a fan base that they'll travel up to Ayr to watch your team must have meant the world.
So that's another massive highlight for me from that side of thing. You've obviously done something well to have a group of supporters come. Now, I reckon in total, over the 2 years I was there must have been over 250 came up in different sizes of groups. There was 10 at a time come up, there was 2s, 3s here and there, and every single one of them loved it. Now, the biggest problem I had with that was that our biggest rivals are Kilmarnock. Our derby is Kilmarnock. Now, Kilmarnock wear blue and white stripes. So you've got 10 people piling into the supporters bar at Somerset Park in blue and white stripes, and it was like tumbleweed for the supporters turning around thinking, what? Until they see the badge, and then by the end of it, it's great. And they're almost swapping shirts and things like that. But again, I had a similar thing with the Dunfermline fans coming down to Hillsborough for a game we played at Torquay. About 80 of them came down on 2 bus loads, or a bus load come down. And so from that side of things, I've been very, very lucky. I think people have understood that, one, I'm never going to be the most technically gifted player in the world, but I think they can appreciate that no matter how well or bad I play, I would never give anything short of 100%. And that sort of, to a working class city of Sheffield, where the working man goes out there and their bonus at the end of the week is turning up at Hillsborough or the other end of town, depending on what colour you follow, I think they appreciate that sort of sleeves rolled up mentality.
No, absolutely. Billy, that's great. That's us done for this first half of the show. We'll be back with Lee in the second half. Did you see me? Welcome back for part 2 of the first episode of All Wednesday. We've got the great Lee Bullen here with us today. Lee, I feel like you probably get asked this question all the time and you probably can never answer it, but is there any story that you can give us that maybe hasn't been told yet about your time as a player, as a staff member, like, you know, these little bits that are, you know, I suppose kept behind closed doors? Because there's I suppose there's got to be a point, hasn't there, when it's far enough ago to get away with it.
No, I think everything's been said. I mean, you go from my very first pre-season training trip to Ibiza. I think stories have been told of that. I think Michael Vaughan had pouring himself out a lift at Cardiff in the same team hotel prior to the Cardiff playoff final. No, I don't like Paul Heckingbottom starting a pogo up the middle of the motorway after that game. No, I don't think there's anything that I've not really said out there, to be honest with you. I think the lads did. I don't know where we can go with this. The lads, as a player, we went to Birmingham on a Christmas do, and obviously the first night out is a good night out. The Sunday is a recovery day, but it's a fancy dress day. But for whatever reason, Lee Peacock and the rest of the lads decided to ambush me and strip me in the middle of this bar. Luckily enough, there was nobody else in this place, so I'm standing. So I got P. It was alphabet. I got P, so I was dressed as a pimp. So I ended up standing in these sort of 6-inch high boots for the 60s, and very little other than a wig and these boots. I suppose that's a story that can be told where Peacock, I will get him back eventually. But other than that, no, I think I've covered most stories throughout the place. Sturrock with his drinks, alcoholic drinks before that crucial Hull game to get into the playoffs. We've covered all these stories in the past. There's obviously some stories you can't really tell about certain players that you've been involved with in the past. But no, overall, I think we had a great time as a group of players whilst I was at the club. And when you step onto the coaching side of things, you're involved in WhatsApp groups with the players, not the manager, but the coaches are. But still, you don't really get to know the ins and outs of things. We've all seen little snippets of Tom Lees' stag do in Vegas and things like that, haven't we? So that's as far as I got. So I can't even give you any more detail on things that happened there, mate. So what happens in Vegas?
No, absolutely. With the with the situation with Lee, is that very much on your mind now? There's something's coming at some point in his life that he's going to go,
Nope.
oh, he's got me there.
There will be something coming for Peacock. It's been, listen, that was 2004, 5, 2006, 7. So yeah, we're almost over 15 years ago. But listen, I am not letting that one pass. That'll come back to haunt him eventually. Don't worry about that. He's just got married as well. I saw, got remarried recently as well. So yeah. Don't worry. He might be at the bottom end of the country, but I'll get him eventually.
Do you boys stay in touch much? I know that like I've been lucky enough to spend an evening or two with you in after charity games and stuff like that. But aside from those events, do you and JP McGovern and especially the other Scottish boys stay in touch a lot?
So obviously, when I was back up the road, I got to see JP on a few occasions, which was good. But he was actually working in London, so I'd moved to Scotland. He was working
He
in
owns a
London.
coffee shop now, right?
He does own. Well, he had one, sold one, and he's opened another one.
Right.
Just beside Hampden Park. If anybody's up there for any reason, it's just round the corner for Hampden Park. So it's named after his grandma, Gaga's coffee shop. So there, I've plugged you, JP. I'm looking after you, mate. Stevie McLean was manager of St Johnstone when he was up there. And we actually played them in a cup when he was assistant, but he took over when the previous manager lost his job. So I got to see Stevie. But I stay in touch with Glenn Whelan and Burton O'Brien and JP and Dion Burton and people like that. Yes, obviously the catch up with the charity games is even better because we've had a few lads back for that type of thing. But other than that, yeah, I think it's one of these things. When you become good mates, you don't have to speak to each other regularly. You can speak to each other once or twice a year, and you're just as tight as you ever would have been. And I think that'll be forever. Myself, Hecky, Peacock, even Guy Branston's going on, doing really well for himself in the agency side of things. All these type of guys are all good mates.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think there is a lot to be said for those friends that you don't need to catch up on. I have it as well, where you when you see them, you just kind of slip into it, don't you? It's like you've never been gone.
You just know that if you needed help, they would have your back. And as I say, you don't need to be speaking to them. I've got school friends the exact same. There's probably only a handful, but these lads that I played with, I knew if I was going through a tough time and needed their help, then you just know these guys would be there for you, as I would be for them. So yeah, that was good teammates, but even better friends.
Yeah, and that's, I suppose, all you can really ask for in this industry, because not everybody are nice people, are they?
Listen, it's the best game in the world, but can be the toughest industry in the world. I've got to be honest with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Experiences, yeah.
Yeah, I say to a lot of sort of my friends and stuff, it's love the sport, hate the industry, because there is a lot of that about. It's often not a particularly nice place to be.
Yeah.
Just before we let you go, I did want to do a little bit of I suppose not quick fire, but a little bit of a comparison between Scottish food and English food, because I know that there's a little bit of a rivalry there between our two great nations.
Yeah. Ever so slightly.
Ever so slightly, yeah. In general, before I start though, do you have any sort of favourite Scottish fare? Like the certain things, like whenever you go back up north, that you're like, I need to get this when I come.
Haggis or square sausage. They're the two. So a bit haggis or a square sausage roll. That's the things you sort of miss. When I was abroad, it was always trying to get a hold of Iron Brew. Now down here, it's readily available, which is great. So I've normally got a few cans of that in the fridge. But abroad, it was tough, and you found the odd place, even in Hong Kong, you could get Iron Brew now and again, but you'd have to search high and low for it. So yeah, they're the two things: a square sausage or a bit of haggis when I'm back up.
The square sausage, that's lawn sausage, right?
That's right. No.
Yeah.
Lawn is the normal sausage.
Lincoln
Lawn, not Lincoln Lawn, innit? I don't know. I'm going to have to Google that now. You've thrown me under the bus there with that one. Lawn sausage. No, square sausage. It might be Lawn. Come on. I'm in the middle of a live show here, and I'm Googling Lawn sausage. You've just thrown me under the bus with that one. But have you never ever tried it?
No. The reason I asked,
you know what I'm talking about, though, don't you?
Yeah. So I went up north to Scotland with my other half relatively recently. I went up to the islands up there. I was speaking to Baz before I left, and he said, "Can you bring me some square sausage back?"
It is Lorne
I,
sausage, mate. It is. I've
yeah,
just Googled it. Yep.
I didn't think that bringing a sausage on the trip and then taking it to Hillsborough was a particularly good idea. So I managed to get him a pack of crisps. They do some Lorne sausage crisps, don't they?
All
So I
right.
got him.
Okay.
I got I got him some of them. But yeah, going into this then. This one's very similar, but full Scottish breakfast or full English breakfast.
Well, obviously, they are very similar, other than the fact that haggis is probably in. I love black pudding, so you get that in both. But the haggis is the thing that's missing from the English one, from my point of view, as I've mentioned. So I've got to tip the tide in the Scottish favour on that one, mate.
Fair. Tatty scones or English scones? I know they're not the same thing, but just
So,
flavour palette.
so when you say English scones, you're talking the fruit scones or the.
Yeah,
Listen.
yeah.
So I love tatty scones, absolutely, but I've got a sweet tooth. So clotted cream and jam with scones down here, you can't beat it, mate. Oh, it's the best.
Yeah. I really like both. I went to stay with a friend of mine in Scotland and ended up staying with his mum because his house wasn't ready, and he shifted me off to stay with his mum for 3 days, and she made me tatty scones for breakfast,
Yeah,
and they're
yeah,
fantastic.
they
Um,
are good.
Tablet or fudge?
See, this is a tough one. They're basically saying one's harder than the other. That's about it. But I've got to go down tablet way because, as I say, you can readily get fudge down here. You can still get tablet down here, but I don't know. The fact that tablet is much more teeth rotting is probably a bonus from my, as I say, I've got a sweet tooth and a bit of a sugar rush, so I'd go tablet. But again, I could probably eat more fudge because too much it just it kills you. But again, when you've not had it for a while, it's the winner.
Yeah, fair. This is a tough one. Can of Tennent's or a pint of Stewins?
Oh, see, I'm a lager drinker,
Right.
and I'm not really a Stones or a Guinness or the flatter stuff. I feel it bulks me up too much, so I'd have to go Tennent's. It's actually called a pint of Council up the road. Council is a Scottish way of saying council juice because
Right.
Tennent's is so readily available. You just go into a pub and you ask for a pint of Council. So there you are. Tennent's it would be. Tennent's it would be.
Yeah, got some interesting drink choices in Scotland. I remember going out having a Venom when I was out, and that stuff is deadly. Then just lastly, chippy sauce or Henderson's relish, and be careful how you answer this because you know the
Yeah, I
people.
know. I've got to be careful with this. Listen, I had never tried Henderson's until I'd come down to Sheffield, and it's great. Get a proper pie where you can't have it without Hendos, so I fully understand that. But born and brought up in Edinburgh, see, anywhere else in the UK, it's salt and vinegar. Edinburgh's the only place it's salt and sauce, brown sauce, and chippy sauce. So I don't know. I've got to give it a draw, to be honest with you. I would never have said, if you had asked me that before, maybe even 1 year after coming to Yorkshire and Sheffield, then it would always be chippy sauce. But it's come level now. It's come level. I can't swing it one way or the other. I think Scotland's edged it overall, but no, and that last one's got to be a draw.
Yeah, no, a draw is. I'll allow a draw. I'll be taking moving back to South Africa. I'm gonna get like a litre bottle of it to take with me. Just go
Brilliant,
and
man.
pass myself.
Yeah.
But like, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for coming on the show. We will possibly look at having you back because I feel like there's plenty more stories that we've got to hear from you and plenty more to say. And hopefully, we can chat to you about what the future lies ahead for as well.